Introduce Eileen, the last but not least.
Oh gosh. Yeah, it's hard to follow all these great candidates. Linda, that was awesome. I felt like I was part listening to my mom. Because, you know, I grew up with a mother who was an activist. Joan knew my mom really well too. And the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. And I just want to introduce myself a little bit more. Some of you I know, a lot of you I don't. And I just have to tell you, I'm a pre-Tea Party Tea Partier. Because I was, early on, how I got involved was when those crazy Christians got involved in 1988, because Pat Robertson ran for president, right? Yeah. And people thought, these crazy far right-wing Christians, how dare they come into the party? They don't know anything. What are they doing? So, I mean, under that, but I had learned, actually gone to Regent University and studied the biblical principles of law and the Constitution under Herb Titus. And I don't know if you heard Michelle Bachman when she came in with Bobby Shostak. But I learned that Michelle and I both had the same instructor, Herb Titus, and I told her that later, and she said, Herb Titus was one of the two people in my life that significantly affected my philosophy on government. He's probably got a website, and he's not teaching at Regent anymore, but, you know, when people ask me, what do you think about the Constitution and being a Republican, like that, how can you not, you know, believe in, how can you be a Republican and not hold our Constitution dear and close? It's the foundation of our law. We're a country ruled by law. That makes us unique. That gives us the best country in the whole world, and there's no question of that. And I agree with whoever said many of our legislators, and unfortunately our congressional candidates, didn't read it, and they haven't, but they're being challenged to now. So that's good, and I attribute that to the Tea Party movement, because they kind of rose up and reminded these folks, like, no, you know, you've strayed too far. I got involved after I went to get my degree, and my mom had been, you know, as kids, she had us, you know, signing petitions for judges. I mean, you guys know it's legwork. It's not going, it's rallies, but the hard part is going door to door and getting signs up and getting petitions filed. I mean, I've been from probably the UP to Macomb County helping different candidates throughout 20 years of activism. And always for candidates that I believed in, that reflected my values. And as a Christian, my faith informs my beliefs, my faith informs my office, my faith informs where I work and how I work. It's not segregated, you know, we don't have a secular life and then a religious life, you know, our faith informs everything we do and believe. So that informs our politics. And that frankly is why I got involved, is because I felt like, okay, well, there are some answers, and if I don't get out there and try and find people or run myself, I did this past summer. It's very hard. This past summer was very hard. I ran for county commission in the Kent County area. I had a primary. We had a good race. I didn't win this one, but I'm telling you what, working and running and doing all your, I mean, it's hard work, and you guys know that. So I you know, rejoice and welcome that there is a whole nother, it was needed, a whole nother group of people who are getting involved in the Republican Party. We desperately need those hands and feet and ideas and thoughts. And I'm running for the vice chair of outreach because this cycle is so important. I've been on state committee the last, well, I was actually in Ingham County on state committee for the 8th district when I lived here. I worked for Senator Dick Posthumus when he was the Senate Majority Leader as his policy liaison. I went around the state articulating what the state Senate was doing in different policy issues, especially when they passed the charter school bill. You know, Senator Posthumus was the sponsor of that bill, and with Governor Engler got at least that passed so we could have some school choice. And after that I went to work for Spence Abraham, and as you know, after his first term we lost that seat, and I am motivated more than ever to take that seat back. I can't tell you how important it is. You know, as a junior senator, Spence Abraham got 22 bills passed. Wow. I mean, that is unheard of. He was probably one of the smartest, most articulate and effective legislators we've ever had. Debbie Sabinow is an incredible campaigner and smiles and shakes people's hands. And that taught me a lot about communication. Because you know what, you can be the smartest person on the earth, but if you can't communicate your message quickly, easily, and relate to your audience, they don't know it and they don't care. And we lost the last week of the campaign. We were ahead up until the last week. And you know, lesson learned. And I am committed to helping our different team members, Steve and Linda Lee and Norm, and you know, it's interconnected. You know, communication is interconnected to all these groups and all these vice chairs. I've never been a vice chair before, but I'm willing to put my volunteer time into that to now use the experience I've had after I got out of government. I thought I have to have some private sector experience. I can't only have just worked in the government.
Thank you.
Right?
Yeah.
And I'm really appreciative. I actually became a vice president of a public relations firm in Grand Rapids. I married a guy from Grand Rapids. Kevin came with me today. And, I had to get out of politics to finally meet someone and marry somebody. Thank you, Lord. But anyway, Kevin has been so wonderful. He's great balance in my life, and I appreciate him so much. And just so you know that, you know, with outreach, we're going to have to take our message, target our audience, and make it make sense to each group. It's not going to be the same exact message, but it's going to be the same principles, right?
Yeah.
You know, and we really have to talk to where they are. Sometimes, as Republicans, we do a bad job of articulating what we really mean, and we come off as stiff and, you know, oh, limited government. But you know what? These folks haven't read government. They don't know what limited government means. But if I say it means that the government's not making choices for every single thing you do, that you get to keep more of the dollars you earn, rather than them taking it and spending it where they want to on programs that you don't really care about or know about. That's where, you know, I think Linda touched on it in many ways, in every different coalition group, in every different ethnic group. All right, so one other way, as I was thinking about ethnic groups, how many of you belong to your Hispanic chambers or boards, or have sat and had supper? Well, Vic, well, you know, I took it to heart 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, that, you know, the Hispanic population, you know, they have our principles. They love family. They're very pro-life. How come they're not voting with us?
That's right.
And I said, well, we don't break bread with them. They don't know us. We don't know them. So I had a good friend, Emily Aleman in Grand Rapids, and I got to be friends, and she asked me to be on the board. She was the president of the Hispanic Center of West Michigan. And so I said yes, you know. I got off the Kent County Executive Committee board, because, you know, you can only be on so many committees, right? And I said, here, and I was a young Spanish woman who wanted to be on the Kent County Executive Board. I said, you run, you do it, and I'm going to go and run, and I'm going to sit on the Hispanic Center board. And so they can get to know me, I can get to know them. And I encourage you all. I mean, yes, it is pamphlets, it is commercials, it is communication, but it's also breaking bread.
Yeah.
You know, because that's what makes the difference, you know, when you get to know people. And I'm probably over my time, so I will.
You're between everyone and lunch. So does anyone have a question for you?
I'm between everyone and lunch. Okay.
I don't want to make it nervous here. Is there any question? We got time for a couple of questions. Okay. If not, you must have been very clear.
Yeah.